So we'll start with our blanket or towel, and what I'm going to do is just roll it. So I'm not folding it, I'm just rolling it so it's in a little circle. And we're going to lie down and put that, you can adjust the roll in a way that supports your neck. So this is going to support your cervical curve, your natural curve in your spine. So it should feel small enough that your chin's not being pushed forward. And so that you feel like your nose is pointed straight to the ceiling and you've got some support in the neck area. And then you could either lie flat or bent knees. I prefer to bend my knees and knock the knees in toward each other. And we'll start there with a little bit of a neck release and taking some deep breaths. So shimmy those shoulders down away from your ears and let the weight of your hips start to release into the floor. And then take your hands on your belly, and as you breathe in through your nose, just notice the movement of the lower belly area. And for some of us who might be reverse breathers or chest breathers, you might notice that your chest rises before your belly. And so just notice that if that's the case for you. And make the effort to focus on the belly expanding and rising with the breath, along with the chest. As you exhale, you might purse your lips and imagine that you're blowing out through a straw, nice and slow. And with every breath, with every rise and fall of the belly, just allowing yourself to arrive on your mat, arrive in this space for your practice. So we're going to move the blanket underneath our upper arm area, so to the upper back. So you can roll to your side and adjust your blanket. So this will be different for all of you. I'm going to move this to more of a folding style. You could also roll it if that feels good for you, but what we'll do is bring the blanket right under the armpit area, right across the upper back. And here you might use your block underneath your head. And let your arms, and also take your weighted thing that I asked you to get ahead of time, either your bag of rice or beans or anything, even a pillow or another blanket, and just place that on your ribs. So right under the breast area, upper ribs in the front. And as you breathe here, see if you can lift whatever it is that's across your ribs. See if you can lift that with the breath. So we're exercising the diaphragm with that little extra bit of weight. Breathing in and out through the nose. So take another 10 or so breaths with the weight on your rib cage. And then when you're done with your 10 breaths, you can just breathe naturally. You can leave the weight there if that feels comfortable for you. And we will begin with our theme for today. So we're still in the time of Elul, the month preceding the High Holy Days, and we are studying and embodying the Psalm 27. And today we're looking at Psalm 27, verse 14, so 14th verse. So the verse itself is, "Wait for Adonai. Fill your waiting with hope in Adonai. Let your heart be strong and good of courage, and wait hopefully for Adonai." So I'm going to read you the poem that was written in response to this verse. I think it's really appropriate for the time that we're in now. In life, there is a lot of waiting. There is waiting for phone calls, appointments, information, test results, real results. There is a lot of waiting in an office, the car, the exam room, at home. There is waiting alone and with each other. There is waiting for minutes that seem like hours, hours that seem like days, days that are like weeks, which feel like months, even years. I am always in the waiting room, a space of waiting, holding a container that needs to be filled. If waiting is a bucket, what does it hold? Worry and then anxiety, some fear and also anger, maybe boredom, business, busyness, the everydayness of my life that I am sure can't wait, like emails and texts, daily news, podcasts, playlists, and posts to social media on every subject imaginable except what I am really waiting for. But what if I fill my bucket of waiting with hope in Adonai? Like the hope of Emily Dickinson, the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. This is not false optimism or a denial of reality. Hope in Adonai is bright and growing and beautiful, just as it is elusive and fleeting. In the soul, in the heart, it sings, it breathes, it never stops at all, and I am always waiting. It's a perfect match. I will fill my waiting with hope, a tune without words, a prayer from the heart. I will fill my bucket with hope, for myself, for those around me, our world, in the waiting room that is my life. So I'm going to have you remove the blanket from underneath you. You can roll to your side and just move it off to the side and take that weight off of your ribs if you had it there. And then return to your back without any of the supports. And just notice the contact that your back is making with the floor and with your mat. And notice the connection that you might feel with your shoulder blades and your lower back, the quality of your muscles. And then hug your knees into your chest, give them a squeeze and rock from side to side and do some movements that feel nourishing for your lower back. So I think we're all waiting, right? We're waiting for COVID to go away. We're waiting for the fires to stop. We're waiting for clean air. And we're waiting for election day, probably, I'm going to guess. So there's so much waiting, and how do we make space for that waiting to be healthy waiting? And how do we combat the worry and the anxiety that is natural? And I think the most simple way to do it is to crowd out the less supportive habits and thoughts with something that's nourishing. So even in our diet, we can crowd out less healthy food with an upgrade of sorts, right? And we can start to change our diet by upgrading and crowding out the thing we don't want anymore with the thing that's actually going to feed our cells. And so maybe today we can think about filling our buckets with hope during this waiting time, and filling our souls with hope to crowd out the worries. We're going to open up the back of the body now with our straps. So go ahead and take your yoga strap or whatever you're using today, and lying on your back, we'll bring the strap around the right foot. And flex your right foot and slide your shoulders down your back. And just start to draw some circles on the ceiling and make them small to start. And going both directions. And then try to make a infinity symbol, little sideways infinity symbol, or the number 8. Nice and slow. And as you're doing this, connecting to your breath as you did in the beginning when we have the weight on our ribs. Pause in the center, and then take the straps in your right hand and bring your left hand to your left hip, your frontal hip bone, and start to open your leg out to the side. So we're going to get into the inner thigh. As soon as you start to feel your left hip roll up a bit, I want you to activate your inner thigh on that right side and lift the leg back up. So we're going to inhale and bring the leg out to the side. And then exhale, bring it back up. So we're warming up the inner thigh in a dynamic way. We're lengthening and then activating. Keep your foot flexed the whole time. Good, bring the leg back to center, and then put the straps in your other hand and start to cross your body with your legs. So now focusing on the outer hip and really flexing that right foot quite a bit, so it's going to help to isolate the outer leg as you do that. Full deep breaths, inflating the belly and then the ribs and the chest. Bend that knee just a little bit, bring your leg back up. And then holding the straps with both hands, go ahead and just trade legs. So slide that left foot in where the right one was. You can have that right leg extended or bent. You get to choose. And flex the left foot. And starting with those small circles. Good. In both directions. And then moving into your infinity symbol, keeping that small as well. Keep it small enough that your abdominals aren't activating, and use the strap as a support to help guide your leg. And pause at the center and take those straps in your left hand and start to open the leg out to the side, keeping the abdominals engaged, and the right hand on that right hip bone, just to notice if it starts to roll up. You want to keep it anchored as much as possible. And then as you exhale, bring the leg back to center. Inhale, open up the leg. Exhale, bring it back to center, really feeling the activation of the inner thigh as you lift it back. Pause at the center and then change hands and start to bring the leg across the body, really flexing the left foot and pressing the foot into the strap. So lengthening the leg out of the hip joint, and breathe here. And come back to center, holding the strap with both arms. And then release, let go of the strap. Hug your knees into your chest and let those knees fall over to the left side, and open your arms into a T position. So as always, when we practice our twists, you can support your twist if needed with a block between your inner thighs or even beneath your lower leg to take a little bit of the torque out of the lower back if needed. And notice the stretch in the rib cage in the back as you take a nice big deep breath in. And now pull your belly in, engage your core, and lift that top leg, followed by the bottom leg, and twist to the other side. Arms still are in a T shape. You might gaze over your left shoulder here. And then bring the knees back up. Hold onto your knees or shins and do some ankle rotations. So point and flex your toes and circles. Wake all those little ligaments and joints up. And then roll to your side and press yourself up. We're going to come to hands and knees for a cat and cow. So the wrists are under your shoulders and the knees are under your hips. Palms are flat on the floor. Unless you have any wrist challenges, you can always come to your knuckles. And start to round the spine, pulling the belly in and letting the head rest, let it fall forward. Tuck your tailbone. So this is a movement you'll want to avoid if you have osteoporosis. But when you come into cow, as you inhale and reach those sits bones back behind you and look up, you can do this movement as safe. Otherwise, you can fully move through that range of motion of rounding and extending. Exhale and round. Inhale, extend. And then exhale, come back to a neutral spine. So that's a flat tabletop back. And take your left arm and scoop it underneath your right arm. and extend that right arm out in front of you. So we're threading the needle. Breathe here. So we're replacing tension with relaxation, replacing the tight muscles with more supple muscles, one breath at a time, one stretch at a time. Bring your right arm back up underneath you and then change sides. Slide that left arm close to your body, come back to your tabletop posture, and then walk your hands out in front of you, about a foot, and keep your tush in the air, but bring your chest and your head to the floor or to a block if you need to. And keep your arms really straight. So you want to make sure that your elbows are as straight as possible. They might even lift off of the mat. And as you breathe nice big deep breaths, you'll stretch that diaphragm area. Good. Start to lift up. Walk your hands underneath you again so you're back in your tabletop shape. And we're going to warm up the hips here in a little more active way. So you're going to bring your right leg out to the side like a little fire hydrant pose and start to do some circles. So we're activating those gluteal muscles. Just choose what direction you want to start with. Keep your belly pulled in, really important. And then probably in a very short period of time, your butt cheek will start to burn. Change directions. Good. You can make those circles as big as you want. Just keep your belly pulled in. Very nice. And take a break and switch over to the other side. Lifting the leg. And starting with your circles. Keep breathing. So your muscles are working now, so they need lots of oxygen. And then change direction. Notice if there's one way that works a little bit easier for you. So we're getting rid of all those cobwebs in our hip joints. And then take a child's pose. Release your hips, release your head. Release your wrists, so make some fists and do some circles. So we'll come up to hands and knees again. This time we're going to come into a little plank pose. So you can either rock your shoulders forward over your wrists and tuck your toes and lift yourself up to plank. Or you can stay on your knees with your feet flat on the floor. And we're going to keep our bellies engaged and start to lower down. Lower down, keep those elbows really close to your ribs and lower all the way down. Good, and then shift around so you're flat on the floor. Tops of the feet are on the floor. Bring your hands behind you and your forehead on the floor. So from this position, I'd like you to pull your navel in. So you're going to feel a lifting of the core away from the floor. Even if the tissue doesn't lift off the floor, which it won't, you're going to feel the activation of your core. Do that a couple of times. It's like how it feels when you do a sit-up, like the activation of a crunch. As you activate your core, you should feel some support in the lower back. And then as you completely relax, notice what happens in your lower back. It might feel a little less stable. Pull the belly in, activate, and notice how that supports the lower back. And now keep your belly that way. And inhale, lift the chest and the head off of the mat. The palms can stay on the mat if you'd like. And breathe. Lift up as high as you can, but keep your neck long. So not looking up, just looking down at your mat. And lower the head and the chest. Good. Now we're going to just lift one leg. So you keep your head on the floor and just lift the right leg. Lift, lift, lift. And lower it down. And now left leg, lift, 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 and lengthen. Feel your glutes working here. And lower down. And now if you would like to, lifting both legs up. But if you lost your core connection, re-engage. Re-engage the belly. And then I want you to flutter kick your legs. So not at the knees. Don't bend your knees. Keep your legs really straight. Imagine you have little flippers on your feet. Oh, your buns are cooking. Belly is engaged. And relax. Rest your head to one side. And now, if you'd like to, we'll combine some of these movements. So, looking straight down at your mat, pull your belly in, lift your legs, keep them straight, lift your arms. It's like you're reaching back for those flippers. And then start to paddle kick your legs. Breathing, reaching back, lifting the chest up off the floor, really strengthening the back body here. And then lower everything down, bring your hands to your mat, rest your forehead on your hands, and just let your legs move from side to side. So just reigniting the back of the body. So we're so forward thinking in our lives, everything we do is in front of us. So just giving some extra attention to the back body, just keeping it strong and resilient. Good. So next we're going to come out of this just as we went in. So I want you to bring your hands close to your ribs, glue your elbows to your ribs, suck your belly in and start to press yourself up. Do your best to keep yourself flat. And then come into a really soft child's pose. And pause there, take some deep breaths in your child's pose. Okay, let's come on up. We're gonna all come to the top of our mat. Take your time. If you have a massage ball, this is the time we're gonna use it. If you don't have a massage ball, you can sit on a chair or on the floor and just work on your foot or feet with your thumbs and your knuckles. So we'll start with our right foot. Just giving some attention to the whole foot. So if you're working with any lower back issues, you'll want to focus on your foot. I'm going to show you if I can keep my balance. No. Right here. So you've got your whole spine is mirrored in the inner arch. Lower back area is going to be right around in here, right there. So give a little extra support to that if you're challenged with lower back sensitivities. Since the diaphragm is a vital muscle for breath, and since breathing is a little more challenging when we have all of this unhealthy air quality, I'd like you to also focus on, I'm going to sit for this. This area here is for the diaphragm. That's the point of diaphragm. And you can roll your foot, just melt your foot over the ball there. And bend your knee slightly and just press down gently into that. So we're just softening the fascia in the foot as well as stimulating the reflex point for the diaphragm. And then what I'd like you to try doing is rolling your foot forward just a bit so that ball moves toward your heel, like maybe about a half an inch to an inch. And then again, just let the weight of your foot settle on top of the ball. And imagine your fascia is just like warm butter. It's just kind of melting over the ball. And then one more time, just shifting your foot forward. So you'll be right before the heel itself and press down. So for some reason, gardeners are here today, so it might get a little noisy. They don't ever come on Tuesdays. But we'll be flexible, right? We're going to be flexible with Zoom and the fuzzy sounds and the lighting and all of that, and be grateful that we can practice together. Okay, so now, since you worked on your right foot for a bit, stand with your feet hip-width apart, toes facing forward, and just take a moment to notice the change in that right foot and how it feels compared to the left. And then change over to the left foot and start to just roll the foot out. So again, if you're using your thumbs, you can just focus on all the areas I'm talking about with the ball, but just do that with your thumbs or knuckles. So for the lower back again, it's in the same spot on the foot on the other side. It's just correlates to the low back on this side of the body. And then starting to settle the foot over the diaphragm point in the middle of the foot. Taking some deep breaths here and just softening the fascia, imagine it melting. And then moving your foot forward, letting the ball move a little bit more toward the heel. I find that it gets more and more sore as I move and settle into this exercise. And then one last time, shifting the ball just a little bit toward the heel and stepping your back foot forward too. So you want to make sure that you're supporting your weight underneath you. So what do you want to fill your weighting with? I mean, the poet is talking about hope, but maybe there's something else that you want to fill your weighting with. Go ahead and move the ball off of your mat and stand in mountain pose. Bring your hands to your heart and just pause here and take some breaths. If you have an idea, a heart desire of what you want to fill your weighting with, take a moment to embody that by breathing in. I fill my weighting with, and then make your statement. I fill my weighting with. Fill my weighting with hope. Breathe in. I fill my weighting with trust. One more time. reach your arms up overhead. And then exhale, dive forward with a flat back now. You might have your blocks if you need them. And just come into your forward fold. Release the weight of your head. Turn your head from side to side. Maybe nodding the chin. And make some sound. Take a big breath in and let out whatever sound your body wants to release. And then start to look up and rise up. Come up halfway so your back is flat. And pause here. Shoulders slide down your back. Breathe in. And then exhale, fold again. This time we'll come all the way up, starting with the head and reaching the arms out to the sides. And rise up. And hands to your heart. Good. We're going to bring the arms up, and then as we bring them down, we're going to interlace the fingers. If you know that this is going to be hard for you, use your strap at this point in time. And just hold your strap with your palms facing away. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring your hands behind your back, clasping the hands. Or you can take opposite elbows. And if you have your hands clasped, reach your chest forward and start to fold. Hinge at your hip crease. Come down, reach those arms up and back. So don't let them sink into your ears. Keep the arms active. Big breath in, so we're stretching across the chest now. Release your hands back toward the floor, and then inhale, scoop them up in front of you. And exhale, hands to your heart. Good. Let's take some standing twists. Nice, soft standing twist. Arms are really loose. Let the heel come up as you twist. Good. And then come to stillness. Let's do our 3 thumps. So tapping underneath the collarbones. For anyone that's new to the class, I'll come closer to show you exactly what I'm talking about. You've got your collarbones here. Fingertips drop down and go in just a bit. You're going to tap right there. I always think of you, Margie, when we do this, your demonstration for our talk. What was that, 3 or 4 years ago, I think, already. Margie was our demonstration helper with Women of Isaiah night, and she did all of these energy medicine exercises as a model. It was fantastic. So then tap your chest now. So center of the chest. And then I want to hear, I won't hear it, but I want to imagine I'm hearing you say ah. Ah. Wake up that thymus. And then knock on your ribs, wake up your spleen, get our immune system working really strong for the change in seasons, which will come eventually. And then shake out your arms, good. So let's do wood chopper today. So wood chopper is pretty loud. Your sound is going to come from your diaphragm, so there's a little theme happening here, right? So we stretched our diaphragm, we strengthened it at the beginning with breathing, and now we're going to really activate it, use the diaphragm to sound, to chop through whatever is, you know, getting in our way, emotionally, spiritually, physically. So you can reach up, and when you come through for your chop, you don't have to come really low, especially if you have lower back issues. You can just keep it here, bend your knees, and chop. So we're going to breathe in and let it out. Ha! Big breath in. Ha! Ha! Think of all the things you'd like to just cut through. Ha! 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 One more. Ha! Good. And then bring your feet under your hips. Notice the any shift in energy. Nice. Okay, so we're just doing 2 standing poses today, so you'll need your block, most likely. And we're going to do a side angle and a triangle pose. So let's step the left foot out to the side, have your block right by that ankle, and the front heel is lined up with the back arch, and that leg is turned in, but your legs are straight. And then open up those arms and start to just engage the core and slide, reach over those left toes, and then come back. So we're just activating that core, pull the belly in, very important, and come back. Good. Reach as far as you can, reach, and then that left hand comes down, right arm comes up. Block is an extension of the arm. And really open up the chest and the heart. Tuck your hips underneath you so that you're as flat as you can be from the side. Maybe think of yourself as the whole back body is up against a wall. Everything's touching the wall. Squeeze your standing legs. And then come on up, float back up, arms back here, and then bend the front knee. Bend the front knee. And then take a side angle pose. So then the left arm might use the block again, or it might just hover. And then possibly that right arm may come over the ear. It depends on what you need today. But hold your belly in and rotate your chest up to the sky or toward the front facing me. Breathe. And then press into both of your feet and float back up. You're in warrior 2 now. Hands to your heart. So we'll take our block with us and just pivot. Pivot now so that your right leg is your front or leading leg. Adjust your stance so you're balanced, so that front heel lines up with the back arch. Legs are straight. Squeeze the thighs. If you hyperextend, you might add a teeny bend in your knee to protect your knees. And then start to slide your fingertips out over those toes and then come back. Keep breathing. Last time, breathe, lean, slide, and then pivot the arms. Press the hips forward. Here for the neck, I tend to look forward. You can look up at your hand. If you have neck sensitivities, it's probably better to look forward. Breathe here. Good, now you're gonna pull your belly in, press into your feet, float back up, and bend the front knee, and then side angle pose. Maybe reaching that upper arm over the ear, stretching the whole side body here. And then reach up. You're in warrior 2 now. Bring your hands to your heart. And now keeping your legs wide, just turn all your toes to face forward. And your block is handy, so you can hinge forward if you need your block, and then come all the way into your forward fold here. Let your head go. Open your legs a little more if you would like to or you need to. You want to make sure that the outer edges of your feet always stay connected to the mat. So if your inner ankles are sinking in and the feet are coming up, you want to bring your feet in closer together. And breathe. Press into your hands so that you come halfway up. Maybe you have your block there to help you. And then heel toe your feet in toward each other a little bit. And when you're ready, come up and do some shoulder circles. Stand straight. Tilt your left ear to your left shoulder, release your neck. Roll your chin towards your chest, and then release the other side of your neck. And roll your chin down, and then look straight ahead. Good. We're going to come to the floor now. And we're going to do a twist from lying down. So arms are in a T, knees come up, bring them over again to your left side. And notice how this twist feels compared to the first twist of the day. Again, using supports if you need to. And allowing this twist to be part of your cooling down process. Engaging the core and bringing the legs up and over to the other side. And bringing the knees back to center and just listening to the body. What else does it need? Do you need a figure 4 stretch or pigeon pose, another hip opener? Do you want to use your block to support you to lift your legs up? So just taking a few moments to really listen to what your body needs. And knowing there's no right or wrong answer, there's just your answer, there's what you need. And I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that, to listen to your body and respond. And when you hear the bell, it's your invitation to begin to settle into Shavasana, into your final resting pose. Beginning to find your resting pose. releasing the efforts of your practice and moving into integration and rest. Letting yourself be breathed, letting go of techniques and efforts, and simply receiving the breath. And with every breath that comes to you, letting your muscles soften, allowing them to just surrender into the floor beneath you. Nothing to do in this moment, but to simply be and to receive. To fill your waiting with whatever serves you in this moment. Hope in Adonai is bright and growing and beautiful, just as it is elusive and fleeting. In the soul, in the heart, it sings, it breathes, it never stops at all, and I am always waiting. It's a perfect match. I will fill my waiting with hope, a tune without words, a prayer from the heart. I will fill my bucket with hope, for myself, those around me, our world, in the waiting room that is my life. Ahava verachamim chesed veshalom. Ahava verachamim chesed veshalom. Love and mercy, loving kindness and peace. Love and mercy, loving kindness and peace. Perhaps these are the things we can fill our waiting with love and mercy, with loving kindness and peace. Begin to deepen your breath and to feel the space that you inhabit right now, the room that you're in, the air on your skin. And take your time moving your body and rolling to your side and pressing yourself up. And I'd like to do something a little bit different this morning as a closing practice. And this comes from the Grief and Growing retreat. The rabbis of the retreat I work at every year, and we didn't do it this year. We're not doing it till February. So because everything's on Zoom, at the end of our meeting, we did something really beautiful. And so I'm going to ask you to participate if you'd like to. And that would require you to come a little bit closer to your screen. I'll stay here because I'm recording and you guys won't be seen, but come closer to your screen so that you can see your people around you, to see your community. And bring your left hand to your heart. And just bring that to your heart, and then bring your other hand toward your screen, just so that you can see your fingers, but you don't block your whole face. Just bring it to like the bottom edge of the screen. Yes, just like that. And close your eyes for a moment and just take some deep breaths. And connect to your own heart. And feel your own love and kindness and your hope for others and for yourself. Just feel your heart filled with all of those things. And just send that out to your community. Send that to everyone that you're practicing with today. Knowing that our love and our energy, it expands far beyond the screen and goes into the world, really makes a change. And sending that out and also receiving it. Good, and then bring your hands to your heart. May all beings be healthy. May all beings have peace. May all beings be safe. May all beings be loved. May it be so. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shalom.